Algorand has had What is up, guys? And I had to rush to get this stream going, and the reason I did that is because Algorand is about to launch the biggest VRF function that's ever happened. The biggest VRF draw in Algorand history. That is to cap off the Algorand contest. 79,000 wallets participating. So this is going to be interesting. Capistone says what happens. And just what we're talking about right now. Algorand will use the VRF weekly, or it used the VRF weekly to choose winners for its Algorand contest, which was its big weeks-long basically marketing campaign to try to get people to use stuff on Algorand. And there will be 79,000 different wallet addresses, and they're going to be live. So it's supposed to be on X and YouTube. In fact, I'm going to share it with you now. This is what we're talking about. Now, some people thought this was kind of silly. I don't know how I feel about it exactly. But I mean, I found some of them kind of easy. Some of them, it's like, well, you had to go buy an NFT, and I didn't necessarily want to go buy an NFT, so I didn't. In fact, this is actually Algorand Foundation's post right here, so maybe we should pull that up. They're supposed to be starting at 10, and we still stuck. Come the ETF on Algo, do something. Yeah. Well, we do have there is a basket ETF that Algorand was included in, but not the not a standalone ETF in the US. There's one overseas, a couple overseas, I think, that we actually covered. And we still, oh, you actually said we still suck. Sorry about that. By the way, I realized that I had X, when I was posting X, I didn't look at the settings closely enough and actually had comments turned off by default. So I apologize for that if you were trying to comment on X and you couldn't. But we have it live now. We have it all set, so it should be good to go. And shout out, just a reminder, we are live on YouTube. We are live on X. We are live on Kick and on Twitch. And we should be live on Vertical, on Shorts as well. I really don't know how to test that out exactly. But I'm hoping it gets more views than typical. I've seen people show that the views for Vertical are astronomical compared to regular, your regular stream. But also, I still don't think I have it quite set up yet. You can do it with the vertical canvas, and I don't know, I just don't have it quite set up correctly yet. And I think the problem is, I think when I show this screen, I don't think I'm actually on the screen because the vertical would be in the middle. But this should be starting soon, so I'm just watching for it to start. It was Algorand who posted it, the Algorand Foundation. Now, I had to rush to get this out because I thought it was happening at noon, because I am terrible with time zones. I just don't, something fundamentally just does not work about time zones. Oh, we're live, so we're going to go to it. And starting pretty soon, so not Hasn't kicked off yet, but once it starts, we will assume we get some music. Actually, no music. Is it? It's because I think if you click on a live, it should just automatically go on. Yeah. So this should be kicking off pretty soon, and we will be ready to rock and roll. We're going to cover this event live, and then we'll go to the charts afterwards, and that'll kind of be our live stream today. Maybe we'll check out some. I do have a Polygon segment I can go over, maybe some pretty big news on that front.
Happy New Year. Is it too late to say Happy New Year? My rule is that so long as I'm still running 2025, you can still say Happy New Year. So Happy New Year and welcome to the Algorand Grand Prize Draw live stream. And this can count as a wrapping party as well. As you know, Algorand is now over, at least this season. And I'm going to start by walking you through how we use VRF in Algorand. So VRF stands for Verifiable Random Functions. And the type of VRF that we are going to be talking about today has to do with developers and then end users having access to verifiably random values for their smart contracts on Algorand. So I'm actually going to start with the weekly draws that we did throughout Algorand because they are a little bit simpler to understand. And then I'm going to show you how the grand draw works. And then we're actually going to execute the grand draws for Algorand. So the weekly draws had slightly different rules than the grand prize draws. So every week, there were a number of users who completed all of their quests and then claimed their challenge badge on time. When they did that, they became eligible for the weekly prize draw. And the way that that works is that everyone who is eligible for a weekly prize has the same odds as everyone else. So in this way, it's a little bit simpler than the grand draw. On the site, management.algorand.co, we just published the transparency pages for both the weekly draws and the grand draws that we are about to execute. And in there, you can go and see basically how these winners were picked. So I chose week 13. And since it's actually quite small and that will serve me well in this demo. Okay. When we're talking about VRF, we basically want something to give us a provably random value. And this value can be expressed as base64. That's usually the representation that you're going to see in Explorers and so on. But you can also convert this to just a decimal number that your mom might recognize. In this particular draw, we have 356 accounts that are eligible. And so what the smart contract does after the VRF output is available is it'll take this very big number and it will take the remainder after dividing by 356. And then that's going to be the offset inside our candidates list of who actually won this prize. So here it's in offset 174, that's user ID, whatever that is. And so if we went to actually view their page, we would see that they would either have available or claimed a prize asset for that week. So the weekly draws are fairly straightforward. We basically ordered the users by their identifiers. This is an Algorand identifier starting at 1, much like a database would allocate. So we ordered them by increasing user ID, and then we just choose randomly one offset between 0 and 356 minus 1. For the grand prize draw, however, the rules are a little bit different because anyone who has scored any points throughout Algorand will have some shot of winning the grand draw. To put it another way, the points that you have accrued throughout Algorand translate to your odds of winning the grand prize draw. And so because we're talking about a draw with variable odds here, we need a different approach. So the approach for the grand prize draw is that we are basically adding up everyone's points, the points that everyone has won. And similarly to the weekly VRF, we add both the user IDs in ascending order, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, but also their cumulative points. So this gives you a range of points from the output of the VRF, that a winning range for each user. So if the VRF came back with 75 as the value after we do modulo total points, then user ID 1 would be the winner of the VRF. If it came back with 90, it would be user ID 3. And yeah, so that's how this is going to work. A few things about the grand draw. We have 79,162 users, of which I have started the process to ingest into the grand draw smart contract almost all of them, because this is a process that took about 70 minutes. So I've left just the final bit to do live here. It should take just a couple of seconds, and then it is going to start executing for every prize that we have. Speaking of the prizes, aside from the 3 grand draw prizes that you are aware of, we've also reclaimed a lot of weekly prizes that were never claimed by their winners. And so there's going to be a number of extra draws, which is nice.
Huh.
And the final thing before we actually go to execute is that we're going to need about a day or two to run some legal and compliance checks before these results are considered final. But by all means, if you see yourself winning, then go ahead and celebrate. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit nonsensical to you, but I can talk you through what the output is. So we are going to fetch all of the user information right now so that we can get everyone's scored points, order them, and add all of the points into the cumulative points list that I showed before. So this should take another 15 or 20 seconds or so. It is getting 79,000 users worth of data from the blockchain. So after that, it's going to finish ingesting the couple hundred users that I had intentionally left out. And then the smart contract will pick around 8 rounds in the future. And that will be the base for the first prize to be drawn, and then the one after that for the second, and so on and so on. So 21 times. So here we should be fully ingested. I should say that this has not actually been tested with mainnet, as it's the first time that we are doing it. We have tested it extensively locally and a smaller run on testnet, but as always with live stuff, there's a risk of embarrassment here for sure. Okay, so this is the block that whose seed will influence the outcome of the draw, and it looks like we picked our first winner, and then we're going to be waiting for the next one and the next one and the next one. So as these blocks VRF output becomes available, more and more winners are going to be chosen. So let's see. Okay, we're going to leave this to run here, and then we are going to clear the cache and I think we need to wait for it to finish. So when the grand draw is finished, we're going to see a transparency page for every one of the draws, or at least that's the idea. It did work on testnet. So we're going to see something like this, and it will show what the transaction ID is that actually called the VRF, what the round is that whose seed influenced the outcome, the output in base 64, the output in decimal, and then the actual mapping to the cumulative points array. Let's see. I'm not 100% sure if I actually cleared all of my data here. All right, let's try again. Okay, we are almost done. 19 out of 21, 20 out of 21. And in a few moments, we should see the last one. And that should transition the state of the ground draw to ended. All right.
I don't see mine.
Let's see again.
I didn't play it that much though.
Okay, I'm glad to see the results list now. Cool. So
Wait.
these results under the Ground Draw 1 page will link you to the transparency page showing how every one of these prizes were
Well, dude, just scroll
selected.
So
if you want to see what prize it is, that's actually stored in the NFT metadata, and that's linked to testnet. But
wow,
I gotta fix that. So the very first one is the recent Muller e-bike, and the winning user is whoever that is.
not me.
So yeah, basically it worked more or less the same as the weekly ones, but with the accommodation for the different winning ranges. So this is the output from the VRF randomness beacon, and then we take the remainder after dividing by all of the points scored by everyone in the in Algorand. And so in the candidates list here and in every Grand Prize transparency page, you're going to see that users by their identifier have not only the points that they have scored, but a winning range. So if we scroll up a little bit, we'll see that it's 4 to 5, 97, 4 to 5. So it's within the winning range of for this user. Yeah, that's more or less it. I'm going to write up a little bit more about how this works. I've spoken a little bit on X. Again, we're going to need about 24 to 48 hours to run some compliance checks before we fully finalize these results. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this grand prize draw. And I'll see you next time.
That was the whole thing. Greenbow, I'm gonna get to that comment because that's super interesting. But like, yeah, these guys are not showing, obviously. So let's just go through. I'm gonna leave them up on the screen. You can see if you just a little bit. So UID, if it starts with that was winner number 1, you get grand prize number 1. They should have put, don't put like 1, 2, 3. Put like the actual. This is such an engineering thing. Like, you know what? People actually care if they won or not. Like, it would be really nice if they put what the first off in the prize, put the actual prize. Don't just put prize number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, that doesn't mean anything to anybody. But people want to see like who won. When you're gonna present this stuff, present it. People care about who actually won, and it'd be nice if they could have found a way to pull in if there was an NFT, if there was a way to pull that in, that would have been. What do you mean fixed sound? What's wrong with the sound? I think people can hear me, right? People always get mad about the sound. Whatever. So we're gonna scroll through really slowly so you can see. Maybe you won. I don't know. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you did. Anyway, if you want to see if you're on here, by the way, you want to pull it up on your own computer. It's mgmt.algorand.co/grand-draw/1. And then you can see all the winners. But I'm going to scroll through. I'm going to leave them up on the screen for a significant amount of time so you can actually see if you won. which would have been a nice thing to do during the live. And then actually going, if I were them, I would have went through. Sounds 100%. Hello, Frugal. Hey, Bagums, welcome. Glad to have you on here. So I wanted to, the couple of comments I want to address. Side note, so Green Blue Algo says, side note, I ran a Boolean operation on the entire list of all governors that participated in governance. And I found that only 484 wallets completed all rounds. Yeah, this has been something I've been talking about, actually, that I just don't think people care about governance that much. I really don't. You could see the participation just dwindled, and most people were just participated through liquid staking anyway. So if you do that, well, it kind of defeats the point of governance, right? Which I think is interesting. Rudy Yuli says, forgive me for being off topic, but could you do a vid on folks' points and what the heck they're planning to do with them? Maybe even get someone from folks on and ask them what the deal is. Well, I think the folks' points led to how many folks tokens you got dropped. Now, whether they're going to do more stuff than that beyond that, I don't really know. Also, my interviews it's a long story. I put a little thing up because someone from the Ballsack ASA team wanted to be on. Yeah, I think you guys saw enough of this, right? I have them all, and there's a couple more. I'll leave that up for just a little bit more. Again, just putting the number on here, put the actual thing of what it is. Like, this just frustrates me. It just frustrates me, the lack of like pageantry. You're gonna reveal these grand prize winners. Like, actually do the prize reveal. Say this person wins the e-bike, and here's the address. And maybe they could have done a little digging to find out what NFT it was. Anyway, what was I talking about? I'm going to come back on because I know we're on vertical. Who won? Cloudy Vibe says, who won? Well, good question. We just shared the screen, and like I said, you can go to mgmt.algorand.co/grand-draw/1, and you can get, I wish I could put it in the chat. The new setup I have doesn't allow me to actually, well, I can. You know what?
Hey everyone, Happy New Year. Is it too late to say Happy New Year?
Yeah, exactly.
My rule is that
Here,
so long as I'm still running 2025, you can still say Happy New Year. So Happy New Year and welcome to the Algorand Grand Prize Draw live stream. And this can count as a wrapping party as well. As you know, Algorand is now over, at least this season. And I'm going to start by walking you through how we use VRF in Algorand.
Oh, sorry, it was replaying. Sorry about that. I didn't realize it was replaying again for some reason. Very strange. I'm going to put this in the chat, so just give me a second.
This season.
Hold on. So if you want to see that you're a winner, we can do this right here. But I thought it was really strange that they didn't actually, like, they just kind of like dropped the list and didn't even like go scroll through it so you could see it. Like on the management list, and like I showed here, you just see grand prize 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And obviously there's multiple winners for some of these. Why would you not, like that's just the worst way to do a drawing that I've ever seen. And leave it to an engineer. This is why engineers aren't good at like the showmanship part of it. And you need someone on that can kind of manage this and offer some kind of like pageantry and make it interesting. So going through and saying which ones won would have been smart. Green Blue Algo says there's a season 2 drop for folks, and you need to get 1 million points to get any airdrop. Green Blue says they should have shown each item with an address. Then for ones that weren't claimed, do another drawing. Well, yeah, I mean, I just think it's weird. It's like, well, you're going to do this drawing, you're going to live stream it, and then you're not even really going to go through and talk about who won and who won what. I don't even know what the prizes were. Which would have been a big deal. I think that's a big part of like, hey, people who participated, like they got some pretty cool prizes, right? I know one was an e-bike. I think there was a trip in there. But they just didn't like share any of it. That's so weird. I don't get it, but it is what it is. And this is why you don't let engineers lead that stuff. You need someone who's like a non-engineer. And I know they have the staff too. They absolutely have the staff to do this. They have people on staff. When I made a couple videos for them, when they contracted me to make a couple videos for them, I've dealt with like 3 different people. They have video editors. I don't really understand, by the way, when I made a video, they had really specific editing requirements. So I thought, well, you have an editor. Why don't you just have the editor edit it? Right? What's that person doing otherwise? Like, I don't know. All right. So I'm in kind of a complaining mood, but I just really thought that would be a lot more interesting. It was like 15 minutes and it just wasn't all that good, I guess. Yeah. So the folks thing, let me see if I can. Green Blue says, I think the grand prize winner has 1.5 algo. That would be hilarious. Let me, copy. Hold on, I'm going to pull this up on Allo. Let's pull this up. All right, here's oh my gosh, look at this. The winner of the contest has 1.56 algo funded by this. So let's trace it back. Funded by an account that now has 0.2 algo. Funded by one that has 579,000 algo. And that's funded by an account that has, this is really, how long does this trace back? 1.98 algo. To 0.5 algo. We're going this one. What is going on here? To one that has 888,000 algo, funded by one that has less than an algo, founded by one that has 100. Like, should this keep going back this far? Like, my own doesn't do. And then this is the mother wallet that has 10. All of these have a ton of transactions. Does that mean, that's very interesting. So this doesn't look like an ordinary user. The grand prize winner doesn't look like necessarily an ordinary winner. Magical Mayhem asking, I missed everything. What's going on? Well, basically they revealed the grand prize winner and all the winners. I mean, they didn't really reveal them. It was kind of the point we're making, but the Algorand contest season 1 wrapped up, and what we're talking about is that they really did a poor job of like actually making it exciting. It was just like, oh, we ran the thing and there's the prize, the winners are there and that's it, bye, see you later. Like, wait a minute, they didn't talk about who won. They didn't list the grand prizes, so we don't even know what prizes were won. They just say grand prize won, and now we're tracing the winning wallet, which traces back, like, what was that, 5 or 6? How many wallets was that? Let me go, oops, hold on. I think we went back about 8 wallets to get to the... According to Green Blue, they completed the enrollment and the Paris spin. So they didn't do a ton of stuff, which, I admit I didn't do a ton of Algorand stuff either. But that's interesting. The grand prize winner. And I'm trying to figure out, because like mine, I think is just like, it's like the baseline, right? Let me go to... Nope, clear. Oh, mine just come up. I gotta do it this way, actually. All right, here we go. Yeah, like, see, if I go overview, does mine have a funded by? Oh, it does. But I think that's the Coinbase account. Okay, so is this the Coinbase account? Because we saw that number before, right? So I think that's what it is. Because I dropped mine, when I made mine. Oh, this looks exactly the same. Isn't this like almost the same history? I think it is. Okay, so at some point, okay, that's not that unusual then, I guess. But yeah, they completed 2 quests, the enrollment campaign and the lucky spin, and that's all they did. And they were able to win. But it is random, right? So, I mean, that can happen. I wonder what. So here's prize number 2. Again, we don't know what that prize was. Now they did a few more. They did the enrollment, the down bad, the acyclic, the vestige, the win tools, the wallet week, and the myth dual stake. So they did more. They did more quests during Algorand to get the second grand prize. And what about like the third one? Oh, they did a lot. They did like 25 of them. So this one did a ton of stuff. But the very grand prize winner, here's number 4. Number 4, I just did the enrollment campaign. I wonder how many, it'd be interesting to see how many just did like 1 or 2 quests versus a lot of them. And then 5, now 5, we had a couple. There was a bunch of 5s. Which is interesting. Yeah, they did 2. Six just did 1. So apparently you could still win. Yeah, this one just did 2. I'm really, really curious. I would love to see the breakdown of who. I'd love to see the breakdown of how many people just did 1 or 2 things versus did like maybe 4, 5, 6, and then did like all of them or something. But we're going through the top, several winners, and a lot of them didn't do very many quests. That is really interesting. I'm gonna have to tweet about that later. Well, that's what I wondered. So Green Blue says, wonder if they will even know to check if they won. And, he mentioned there were prizes that weren't claimed. And I'm like, well, I didn't know that they were going to take them back. If you didn't claim them, how would you know if you won? I guess you have to keep going to the Algorand website. But why wouldn't they? Can't they just send it to you? Why wouldn't they just send it to you? Well, actually, no, that's a good point. These are like a lot of these are like physical items. So, how do you get notified? All right, so let's say I'm winner number 1 here, who did like 2 quests, by the way. Oh, this is the draw. No, I don't want the draw. I want the, hold on a second. That's the details. Hold on, go here. Yeah, there's nothing on here that would say, hey, here's how you claim your I was just looking because I'm like, did I actually win? It's possible I won one and I didn't even know it. I'm just looking back to see if I won one. And, you guys can do this too on the site. I just dropped the link. The link is in the chat. You just scroll up a little bit. But I'm not seeing anything. Like 10,000 algo, well, they can just send that to you, right? But the other things like... Let me go to the this must be like week 1, right? Well, no, I guess that would be the last one. So this would be the first one. Yeah, so I don't think I won because I don't think I did any of the later ones. But yeah, you go to this link that I left, this management.algorand.company grand draw, and you can see that for yourself. So very, very, yeah, kind of interesting in how they handle this. I thought this was a little strange that they didn't make this more interesting and more like, this is your big marketing campaign, and your live stream is basically going through the code running the thing and saying, well, we ran it. There you go. Bye. Just don't get it. I don't get it. Green Blue says new account balance 10,000 algo. What are you referring to, Green Blue? The very first one? Well, I guess I'm going to move on from this. I don't know if this is super exciting for people. I admit we've got a pretty niche show right now, so I appreciate everyone who's tuning in. We'll get to some other stuff here. I didn't really have a lot of segments. There just wasn't a lot that I collected for segments, so I guess we'll save more of that. There is a pretty interesting Polygon thing, but let's skip over to the charts now, because I think there's some interesting stuff going on. Bitcoin's actually back up to over 93,000. Ethereum sitting at 3176. By the way, a lot of people were trashing me buying gold. About 2 months ago, I started DCAing into gold. I'm up like 10%. So let me know what you think about that, because I think gold is like it's like a long-term play, and it's a little bit different. It's kind of like buying index funds almost, it's kind of hard to time, and the timing, you just kind of DCA into it. You don't really worry about the timing when you buy index funds. And I think gold and silver, other metals, are kind of like that. I'd be a little nervous about silver because it spiked so much, but gold has just been kind of steadily climbing. And if you look at it, it's just generally kind of a slow, steady climb, just kind of like the S&P with, the occasional pullback. But if you're DCAing, you just keep buying those dips too. And now we got Monero taking off at 14%. Now, Monero is an interesting case. I heard Charles Hoskinson on the Wolf of Wall Street's podcast, and I thought he had a really interesting point. He said that the reason that Zcash spiked so much is because there were some big companies, and I think he mentioned A16Z, that really they had a financial interest in pumping the privacy narrative, and it wasn't happening organically, so they pumped Zcash to put privacy on everyone's radar. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought it was an interesting statement nonetheless. But that one seems to really be taking off. In fact, yeah, Hedera's back above 12 cents, which is kind of nice. I'm sure a lot of people don't like seeing it at number 25 when it was in the top 20, maybe close to 15 at some point, if I'm remembering right. Polkadot at 10, almost 11%. So they get a new logo. Didn't they used to be purple and now they're black? Interesting. Another big mover is ICP. I know I've got some big ICP fans in the chat that pop in every once in a while, and I don't blame you. Polygon taking off nicely too, just under 16 cents. Now, my average buy is way higher than that, so I'm not exactly celebrating, but it is nice to see it going in the right direction on Polygon. And let's keep going here. Aptos with a nice pump up too. See, it's good to see Cosmos going up. My last bull run, my Cosmos hit like in the 30s. I think it hit 40 something even. Ondo sitting at 2%, not great. Here's Algorand, just under 14 cents. Nice to see it going in the right direction at least, but not. I've told you guys over and over, Algorand is just not. It just doesn't pump. I like it. Don't get me wrong. It just doesn't pump up. Is that visible, by the way? It looks a little small on my screen. I could probably bring this. All right. Can I bring that up a little bit? There we go. I can see this a little better now on my screen here, so it is a little down. I wish I could make that a little bit bigger, but anyway. Continuing on, let's just see what's let's look at biggest scanners over 24 hours. We got Dash, Story, and then Monero, followed by ICP and Polkadot. So pretty much the ones we the ones we highlighted here. How about on the 7-day? Story again, followed by Monero, followed by Dash, followed by MYX, Finance, Chili's, and then Polygon. Nice to see Polygon at 6, and even Atom up there. Not some of our favorites, though. Solana's over. By the way, Solana over 140 now. I've been playing around. I tried playing around with the Solana trading bot that Shax made from Nyla. I don't know if... but it wouldn't take my... I had a little Phantom wallet with a little bit of Solana on it, so I was just going to like play around with it. But it wouldn't take my seed phrase. It's one thing that makes me nervous about the trading bots. So you definitely want a separate, a separate account. We don't want to use your main account for this, right? Any losers on the 24-hour? Something called Lighter. Yeah, Zcash has been dropping back a little bit. Midnight dropping back a little bit. Meme Core Render was on a tear, so that one's been pulling back a little bit. XDC on that top 10 losers list. Where's our Bobby Jonas at? He always comes in our chat and yells about XDC network. And then what about 7-day going down? Yep, Lighter, Zcash, XDC, number 3 on the top losers list. That's not good. Midnight. Green Blue Algo says change currency to Indian Real to feel better about Algo. Yeah, that always helps. Put it in pesos. That'll help raise the prices. Yeah, I should do that with my net worth too. I'd be multi-millionaire, right? Just change it to Venezuelan pesos, and it looks like you're loaded, right? Well, that's how about the Algorand? Last I checked, the Algorand ASAs were doing pretty good. So let's pull to our sponsor, Haystack. By the way, if you want to trade on Haystack yourself, you can do that in the link in the description, and you can start saving on fees because they're just one of the cheapest games in town. They'll keep you from overpaying on this stuff, but definitely a big fan of Haystack. They are mobile first, by the way, and a channel sponsor, so be sure to support them. Like I said, you can check it out in the link below in the description. Sorry if you're on Kicker. I should put that in. Green Blue says the Real dropped like 99.999%. I gotta say, power to the people there. I hope they're able to gain some freedom. I find it really weird. I don't want to get into too much politics here, but I find it weird that people are supporting the repressive Iranian regime and protesting, and then they're getting in fights with people of Iranian background who are like, no, we don't like that. Like, shouldn't you listen to the people that are affected by it? It just seems bizarre to me, but whatever. So one of the things I don't like is that I don't like that USDC and T-Algo and governance and all this is on top. I just want to see like the ASAs. So we'll skip down. Alpha Arcade doing pretty well. It's been kind of hovering around that price, around just a little over 2 cents. Haystack going in the right direction. Polka Gold, Folks Finance finally turning around a little bit. Tiny, man. Tiny is at about 0.3 of a cent. And remember, this was trading between 2.5 and 5 cents. So this is a rough. Tiny's just had a rough go of it. Liquihog, Votecoin doing nicely. I got a little Votecoin. Every day Algonaut sends me some every so often, which is kind of nice. XUSD. So if you guys watched my experiments video, if you watched the channel member, by the way, you can become a channel member today. The level 2 tier gets you exclusive videos where I share my ongoing crypto experiments and portfolio. So all my stuff, all my crypto experiments, mostly on Algorand, and then my portfolio, which is non-Algorand stuff. And you can check out how that goes week to week. And one of the experiments was Compex. There was an XUSD USDC pool, and it seemed like, well, if you have stablecoin, you've got a guaranteed win, right? But the problem is, and you can see this right here, XUSD has just never been at 93 cents. And in fact, we can pull it up. This is the closest it's been. It's actually dropped as low as, well, we've actually had it drop into the 89 cent range. it's really had a hard time maintaining the dollar level. So I found that I lost more. I actually closed it out positive. I closed it out on a positive way, but that was only toward the very end of like, well, it was about a 3-month experiment. So I closed it out, called it a day. Actually made a little bit of a profit and just let it go. I do have my Ethereum on Algorand, by the way, in the form of GoETH. A little bit of Busk. Don't like that one. And Donkey DAO, I've gotten into. Someone sent me. I know you can't see it because it's under my stupid face, but Donkey DAO. Someone sent me a donkey, so I'm now earning Donkey DAO. I think I don't understand it entirely. I have to look into it a little bit more today. But that one's up. It is at 1/10 of a cent. So who knows? It could be cool if that got to a cent, huh? Green Blue says, "Are you earning yield on gold?" I'm actually not doing any yield yet, but I should probably look into that if there's a good way to do it on with US dollar coin. I'll do it. If it's something else, I just won't touch. The whole thing is like I just want to buy and hold it, but yeah, I should probably take a look at that. In fact, why don't we look at that now? We got time. What else are we doing? I'm just gonna go here, go to is there anything on Tiny? You ever notice that this just doesn't work very well? This is P Gold. That's different, right? That's Polka Gold. Like I searched for meld and the search has never worked well. Have you noticed that? The search on, there's D-Algo and P Gold. D-DAO and Fezzies. The problem is you earn tiny rewards, and those have been diminishing over and over and over. And it's just not, it's not a great deal. I see silver. I basically just have to go through them all because the search really works crappy on here. That's too bad. Yeah, I don't see any. Nothing on Tiny. I'll have to look on some other platforms, I guess. But well, we do Hedera, so, and I know I didn't even like include Hedera on my, oh, here we go. Let's see what Hedera prices are doing. Cloudy says, so if you win any prizes from Algorand, all you have to do is connect your wallet and claim them. So that's the thing. I don't know. There was nothing that said how you claim your prize. Like, because your wallet address obviously doesn't, your wallet address doesn't include any, you know, like an address, like, because a lot of the prizes are like, they're physical items like a trip or an e-bike. And, you know, obviously you can't send an e-bike over a crypto address, right? So how do they reach out to you somehow? Like that wasn't really made clear. There's just a lot of stuff that could have been done so much better. It seems like they kind of went through the technical side of it and then just went, oh, well, done. It's kind of strange to me. It's just strange how they handled it. Anyway, things looking pretty good on Hedera. Besides HBAR being up 3% on the 24-hour, Sauce is up 3%. HBAR X is up 3%. I guess you'd expect that to match. Just going to skip over the wrapped coins. Bonzo up 3%. XSauce 3%. Pack up 10%. That is a huge jump. Nice jump for Hashpack. Dovu up almost 6%. Gib up. This is a really volatile coin. Might be good for trading because you could buy on when you got a 24-hour dip of like 10%. Only post the best says let's go Algorand. Absolutely. By the way, I have to laugh because on my last video I made a video about this new play for liquidity that just happened with Braille, and I got one person saying that I was paid to shill Algorand, and another person saying that I'm relentlessly negative. So apparently I'm pissing off everybody, which is, it's kind of fun. I just tell it how it is. I mean, if you don't like it, I'm not the person for you if you just want me to say everything's great all the time, because that's just not what I do. I tell the truth. Like when I don't like something or I think something is going badly, I say it. And I think something's going well. You know what? That separates like bad investors from good investors. If you're a bad investor, you just think everything's got to be great and you get mad when people tell you stuff that you don't like to hear. If you're a good investor, you'll pay attention to like the good and the bad and make an informed decision. Steam down negative 7%. HST down almost 6%. It occurred to me, I was trying to do that trading bot on Solana, and it occurred to me maybe I should do that on Algorand and just set up a new wallet and bring that wallet up on DeFi so I can keep them kind of separated. That might be kind of a fun way to do it. You know what? I'm kind of curious. I'm just going to go to the... You know what I'm curious about? I wonder if anyone's reacting to this prize thing, because it seems... Oh, here Michael... Okay, at least Michael shared the winners. Algorand winners. 100K algo went to the W6. We kind of talked about that. Hotel plus flights plus excursion for 2. There's the e-bike. I think that was prize 3. And it says more, but actually the more is like kind of strange. I find suspicious how a wallet address created in October 2025 won the 100K grand prize. Mind you, the wallet was created in 10.4, had minimal to no algo, held no NFTs, held only 1 badge from the Algorand campaign. And yet this is the winner of the 100K grand prize. Suspicion is elevated to a whole lot of effery. We're not going to say that on YouTube, but well, if it's truly random, then it's entirely possible to win by setting up a brand new wallet. In fact, I think the whole point was to actually bring new wallets onto the chain, to open up new wallets. So isn't that exactly what you want? I don't know if I agree with this entirely. I wonder what other people said to this, because the draw was fair, but the selected mechanism was not. There was no minimum threshold in place. That's kind of true, but was there ever a point where there needed to be? I'm not sure. Like, it might suck, but I think people spun up wallets too. Yeah, that's entirely possible. Well, we saw, we could probably do a little more chain analysis to look at that and see. By the way, I'm sorry, I've been neglecting the multi-chat. I should go look at it. Yeah, it looks like I don't see anything outside of you. Oh, we did have some, but they're just they're just these fake stuff, And I get this stuff on Kick where they're like, we can make your we can help your channel grow. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's entirely possible that people just spun up multiple wallets and then... That's a good point, actually. Someone could have... We should do some chain analysis, because someone could have just spun up wallets. Hold on. Was this the winner? I don't think this was the winner. No, it wasn't. Hold on. Let's see. We're gonna see. Copy. Is funded by this one. One issue is I don't think this allows you to... It says funded. You get to see who it's funded by, but you don't get to see how many that actually funded. Maybe there's a way to do that I'm not aware of. But like, it'd be nice to see, like, did this one assets held, apps connected. So they connected with algo rewards, but because that's what I want to see. This one, interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure. I kind of wish they allow you to see funded, but they don't allow you to see which ones it funded. So I guess we can't go back and see. But I don't think it's here's the thing: when you do something random, people don't like randomness. They think, well, if you won, you have to be, just because the probability is low of something doesn't mean, if it's not zero, then it can still happen, you know? So that's something to keep in mind. Or on the full screen, I see. See, I don't know. I see why people would find it suspicious, but Green Blue says, I wish they did better in showmanship. I mean, absolutely. It's just so strange. You're gonna have the grand prize drawing of the biggest campaign you've ever embarked on, and you don't even show the winners, really. I mean, they kind of just, you didn't even like scroll through to say, hey, see if you're on here, you know, or something. I don't know. I wish and then what prizes, you know, they didn't even talk about the prizes. Like, I think they should have more than D13. D13 should have like went through the technical side, and then they should have Mark or someone come on and actually like present the winners so people could see it. So I don't know. It's a really bizarre way to handle it, I think. Anyway, I don't really have a lot else to talk about, I guess. I was kind of curious what the reactions were going to be to this. Let me see if we got, you know, it's interesting. We got some shares at least. It was like a poorly executed demonstration of a first grade science project. Yeah, I agree. And this is the problem, is engineers aren't always the best presenters. I would say Sarah from the foundation has done like an amazing job. Like, I don't know if you've watched any of her videos that she's done. She's actually like really good at that. She did those presentations on the what was it called now? I'm kind of trying to blank here. You know, kind of those like that kind of 0 to hero builder challenge, or you could learn how to build dApps on Algorand with no coding experience. Like, those are really good videos. I'd like to go back. I watched the first one. I kind of want to watch all of them somewhere, so might have to go through those at some point. Actually, I'm going to look at my list. I'm going to see if people are talking about it. But otherwise, we might be wrapping up soon if I don't see... Sorry, a little late. What's the update? Well, we're going through Algorand's VRF draw for... It's supposed to be the biggest VRF draw in history. So using the verifiably random function on Algorand to highlight the prizes. Oh, that's not even new. To highlight the prizes through the Algorand campaign. And what we were talking about is that it was just kind of poorly done in terms of like actually being interesting for viewers. Like it was very anticlimactic, and it's kind of the point was to not be anticlimactic. Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of additional. Wait, is he on my list? Yeah, he's on that. I was trying to see if there was more comments here that might be interesting, but not really. So well, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Like I said, it was a little strange today because I was planning on, I thought it was actually at noon because I'm terrible at translating time zones. So it was 11 a.m. Eastern, which was actually 10 a.m. my time and not noon like I thought. So, well, thanks for everyone watching on YouTube. Thanks for watching on Kick and Twitch as well as X. And X is now enabled for comments. It wasn't before. I don't know why that was the case, but we're in now. We're doing it, and also these are available by podcast. I should have the last one out today. I've been a little behind on that. My apologies there. We'll get that out, and so you can listen to our podcast on the go. I cut some of the spaces out to make them a little more listenable, and I do some stuff to make them. That's not okay. Just to make them more, I did enhance the audio and all that stuff. So anyway, thanks so much, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was kind of a weird one today, but we'll get back to Friday with kind of a more normal live stream. But yeah.